Critics always hate the films we think are great, but only one appreciates them all. He serves us every day, he keeps the trolls at bay, though he may be a shade delusional. The shelter of his mouth is moist, he will not give you any choice. Agree with him or else, because he is the film defender.
Big things have small beginnings.
Did you hear something? There it is again. Better go investigate. Why is the door open? It's ominous. Is it just me or is that moving? Whoa. Let's see what this is all about. It stopped. Okay, this place is creepy. It's gotta be in here somewhere. What the? On my payroll. Whatever. I don't look anything like that. Stupid man. I said that one time. God, was I talking about awful movies? Don't even know what to say to that. What the? Okay, that's violent. What? Defend that? Okay. This is officially creepy. Wait, I hear the noise again. Is there something behind me? So, Aggressor, would you like to explain to the audience why you're wearing such a ridiculous hat? Seriously? How long have you been waiting in there, you creep? Jeez.
Ow. I can't see where I'm going.
Oh, God.
No, not really.
Yeah, me either. Welcome to episode 21 of the Film Defender, serving the public good one underrated movie at a time. The Alien franchise is alive and well with the recent release of Alien Covenant tearing up the box office.
In honor of that, and thanks to some viewer requests, we've decided to come together and defend Prometheus.
I don't know about you, but as one of the most visually stunning films I'd ever seen, I was incredibly excited to see this film in 2012 when it came out. However, I did not expect the vitriol that fans of the original Alien would spew about Prometheus after its release.
Really? These people think this is the worst movie ever made? That's dramatic.
So if you're curious to hear what the complaints were and why you shouldn't pay attention to any of them, you've come to the right place. Objection number 1.
Is there anyone on board the Prometheus that we actually care about?
Granted, most of the people on board the ship are pretty disposable, but I would actually argue that that's by design.
Every horror movie is populated by cannon fodder, and Prometheus is no exception.
However, even amongst this expendable crew, there are still a few people that I like. Idris Elba, for example, is one of my favorite actors working today, and though his Western accent is a bit distracting, I just can't help but like the guy.
Also, he gets with his female boss, which is always worthy of respect.
Obviously, Elizabeth Shaw is our entry character, and I can relate to her spiritual journey for the most part.
However, the most mesmerizing character is clearly Michael Fassbender's artificial life form known as David. He's constantly pulling strings in order to accomplish his own ends, which we'll talk about more later. And his impartial perspective is a fascinating outlook on a mission of this nature.
All of these people are at least as relatable as the crew of the Nostromo in my book, and look what happened to them. Objection number 2.
So, is this an Alien prequel or not? It can't make up its mind.
While it's true that this isn't entirely a prequel to the 1979 original, there are definite tie-ins that cement this as part of the same universe.
Indeed, this is clearly going to have a lot to do with what happens in Alien, which becomes far clearer after seeing Alien Covenant.
The inclusion of the life cycle of the xenomorph is an obvious sign of that, along with the acid blood of the alien worm and the creature that has to be brutally extricated from Elizabeth's stomach.
I've always been baffled about complaining whether this sets up enough of Alien. Why would you want to go see a movie where you already know the ending?
The marketing only tangentially hinted at a connection with Alien through the director, its use of the screaming sound effect, as well as the progressively revealed title.
Other than that, it simply looks like a beautifully shot sci-fi horror film.
If you aren't that familiar with Alien, then I'm pretty sure you don't know or care that this movie is a prequel to Alien, so I don't get why everybody's so hung up on that fact. Our culture is way too concerned about brand recognition.
Can I please take this hat off?
No.
Okay.
Objection number 3.
This isn't nearly scary enough to be an Alien movie.
I think there's a reason why they didn't include the word alien in the title of this movie.
Not only are they not including the titular xenomorph in this film, but it's also not really about how that creature came into being.
Sure, we get a vague summation of its origins, but that isn't fully ironed out until the sequel.
As a setup for this entire franchise, however, I would say that this story doesn't need to be as horrific throughout as the later installments are.
The fact that Prometheus becomes more frightening and unsettling as it goes along is emblematic of how future sequels will compare to this thought-provoking sci-fi story.
Is it a little light on the scares and violence by comparison? Well, sure. But this story doesn't lend itself to that kind of content.
It's asking bigger questions then. What would you do if you were stuck in a spaceship with an unstoppable monster? You die. Objection number 4.
They didn't answer any of the questions they set up.
There were a lot of questions brought up in this film, so we're going to go through a few of the main ones and talk about what was answered.
Question number 1. Can I take this hat off?
What's the real question number 1, Aggressor?
Question number 1. Who is the engineer at the beginning?
This is simply a demonstration of what the engineers do to create life.
We aren't sure that this is the genesis of man, or that's even Earth for that matter. But given that the film later reveals our genetic resemblance to these beings, I'd say that's a fair assumption.
Question number 2. What is David up to?
We see David doing peculiar things throughout this movie, but it's later revealed that he is under orders from Weyland himself to determine the viability of this as a cure for mortality.
Hence his instigating all the horrible things that this crew has to deal with throughout the movie, but more on that in a minute.
Eventually, we realize that he has a motive of his own, as he wants to destroy his master and become more self-actualized than what humanity can offer him. Question number 3. What is the black ooze?
This is clearly the same material that the engineer used to create life at the beginning of the film. Whatever is in there has great potential for creation, but also devastating potential for destruction.
Essentially, it could be seen as the fire that Prometheus is trying to steal in the Greek myth. I actually think there is a more clever explanation of this metaphor, but in order to discuss it, we must get into...
Objection number 5.
Ew, what's with Guy Pearce's old age makeup? Why is he even in this story? Ew.
As a fan of the original Alien and Aliens to a slightly lesser degree, I think that bringing Weyland into this story is fascinating.
Not only that, but his reappearance as the driving force behind this mission makes perfect sense to me.
What super rich guy with the ability to create artificial life wouldn't want to take that god complex to the next level by discovering the path to immortality?
To quote Chancellor Palpatine,
He became so powerful, the only thing he was afraid of was losing his power, which eventually, of course, he did.
That's not the right franchise.
it's the same difference.
Anyway, I love that we don't get a translation of what David says to the engineer when one is awakened to grant Weyland his final wish.
What happens next is the fulfillment of the Prometheus metaphor. Men have fire, aka the ability to create artificial life.
The engineer's response is a punishment for us overstepping our bounds and craving more power than we can handle, which is probably why they wanted to destroy Earth in the first place. In closing, I think Prometheus does a great job of walking that fine line between over-explaining things and offering satisfying questions for us to chew on for years to come.
Alien Covenant may offer more clear ties to the original film, but I think this is a thematically bold and visually beautiful way to tackle deep subject matter while playing in a franchise sandbox.
Prometheus's updated status: defended. What did you think of Prometheus? Whether attacking or defending, join the fight in the comments section below. Also, is there a movie you love that deserves a strong defense? You can either email us, tweet us, post to our Facebook page, or post your recommendation in the comments section below.
Don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more film defenses to come. And can I take this hat off?
Alright, fine. You did a good job. You can take it off. So until next time,
The defense rests.
You don't even have to look at the camera, I guess.
I can like. I'm
Get away
actually
with
kind
all
of looking
kinds
at
of
the
stuff.
aliens staring at me. I'm gonna have nightmares.
And that's the punishment that you deserve.
Staring right at it. It's coming at me.
What are you laughing at?
Just that I'm wearing this.
Hey, it's your own fault for not bringing your stuff. It could be anybody under there. Who knows? That came together quite well, actually.
Oh, man, I just snorted.
You did.
However, the most mesmerizing character is clearly Michael Fassbender. I couldn't remember his name for
I'm
a
like,
second.
who's Michael?
This is borderline ridiculous.
Okay. You look like the alien when you mouth something. Yeah.
Is it a little light on the scares and violence by comparison? Sure. But this story doesn't. So, my voice is starting to crack a little bit. You heard it, didn't you?
Uh-huh.
Okay, let me clear the airways here. Let me try it again.
The yeller bell.
I know. Is it a little less light on the scares? Yeah, sure it is. I like doing that. What does it look like?
Probably not as cool as you think it does.
Oh, boo!
If you go more to the left, it'll look cooler, because that's more...
Boo! These guys, they didn't set up any of the questions. They didn't answer them after they set them up.
There were a lot of questions brought up in this film, so we're just going to go through a few of them. That thing keeps coming back. There were... No, it's like on the other side. There were a lot of...
But it's later revealed that he is under orders from Wilhan. Wayland. I thought that was an H.
Objection number... Whatever's next.
I wear this against my will.
He deserved it.
Call my mother. Tell her I love her.
He doesn't.
He became so powerful that the only thing he was afraid of was losing his power. Which, of course, eventually he did.
Of course.
And don't forget to describe. You hear me? Don't you forget.
Always clarify
Describing.
what you're saying.
I swear if you're not describing.